Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the Breaking Bad show. I'm Chad Bruckner. This is our first episode of the 2022. Happy New Year to you. I'm here in snowy Pennsylvania. Today's episode, Ryan, CHARTRAND, and I are going to get into wellness. Some things we have coming up here in the New Year's, some things going on in our lives. We're going to have a great conversation, so stay tuned. This is the Breaking Bad show. Hey Ryan, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, Chad. Happy New Year, man. Good to see you again.
Happy New Year to you, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing awesome. I'm looking forward to this year coming up. I know it's just the date changed, but I'm looking forward to some big things this year. How about you?
Yeah, man, same. I'm glad this is our first recording of the new year, and I know we tried to link up earlier, couldn't get our schedules going, but is it snowing where you're at?
Oh yeah, we got about it snowed last night into today, so we had the kids home today, banging around upstairs and doing some sledding and stuff like that. And yeah, we got probably about 8 inches out there. I think it came up the East Coast. How much did you get?
We probably got 2 to 3 inches, maybe. Kids had off today, which is, I don't know, 2, 3 inches isn't that much, but it got a snow day, so they're happy. It's a Friday, so that's good. Actually, I got my summer shirt on because, snow, and I figured I want to feel like I'm at the beach.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought maybe you snuck out, went down to Florida, the tropics on us.
That would be cool. I guess we're going to talk about New Year's, right? Like we hit a new year, 2022. My God, 2020, 2021, brutal, awful. I mean, just globally, with the pandemic and the economy. But I know you and me were talking before on the phone offline about, what are some things going into this year that we can do, or we can help people through our leadership and examples do to, set off the year in a good way, start it off good, build good habits, and be accountable. And if you don't mind, I'll kind of go into some things that I've been going through lately. One of the reasons we haven't been able to make so many shows lately is I've been going through some mental health issues, some panic attacks and anxiety, and they were never. I've had moments of this throughout my life, but really, really minor. And it started December 23rd and then the 24th, 25th. And it got really, really bad. The panic attacks were so bad. I had to go to the ER. My brother drove me there. And man, I get a little anxious just talking about it still. But I felt like I was going to die. And I never had panic attacks quite that bad. Actually, the first panic attack I had is when I resigned from the police department. And I remember resigning from the police department, feeling so nervous about what I've done because now I'm going into entrepreneurship, and then my exit wasn't as grandiose as I would have liked. I think we all think we deserve these parades when you march off into the sunset. But so I had one there, but it was brief and it was minor. But now I have the 23rd, the 24th, 25th, even this past Monday night. What's today? January 7th, and so January 3rd, I had a panic attack. It was so bad. I'm pacing around my house. I think I'm dying, and my wife's calming me down. I'm having to take medication to calm down. It was brutal, man. And I know that held up some of our recordings, but I wanted to be a little open and honest about it because what I'm learning is as I get on medication and I start to deal with this, is talking with so many good people, you and so many good people in my life, that this is common. And when I was in my manic episode, I'm thinking I'm the only one in the world going through these panic attacks and anxiety. And then I realized there are millions of people in the world going through this. And it's been kind of comforting to listen to other people's stories. Cause now I'm asking people, hey, have you ever experienced something like this? And I get so many stories and experiences, and they're so closely aligned that, even talking to you about it, they're so closely aligned with people's experiences. I realize I am not the only one.
Listen, man, first off, I commend your courage to actually come on and talk about that. And one of the biggest things is I think that so many of us, it's common for that to happen to us, but we don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing. And I commend you for that courage to come out here and say that, so that other people that might be feeling that same way don't feel alone, like so many of us do when we're in that moment. Because I've been there before too. I know what it's like. And yeah, you feel isolated. You wonder what's wrong with me. and it's disappointing.
Yeah,
So
and it's crazy because the reason I kind of wanted to talk about it on the show, Rye, is I know there's police officers right now, first responders, people in the medical, especially the medical community. I mean, I have a friend that my sister's a nurse, another friend that's a nurse, and listening to just the mental health. I mean, I actually read an article recently about suicide in the mental health community, doctors and nurses is just as high as law enforcement. I mean, we don't hear about that as much. We hear about law enforcement suicides, and I can only imagine everything they're dealing with mental health. So I just wanted to be open with it because I know there are cops and first responders working right now that are going through panic attacks, anxiety, thinking something's wrong with them, thinking they're broken, not knowing what to do. I mean, it got so manic for me that I had these bad thoughts that I just wanted to stop the way I was feeling because I thought it was going to end forever. Not that I was suicidal, but just that I had these crazy thoughts creep in that, wow, like I need to find a way to stop this. And the only way to stop it is to hurt myself or something. Not that I wanted to, but that's how manic those episodes got. And having to take medication and keep popping pills to kind of bring me down, which is they're therapeutic and they're medicinal and they're there for a reason. But the drug cop in me, arresting people for selling and using Xanax illegally and all this stuff, that's where my mind is going. Is there something wrong with me? Am I a drug addict? No, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not a drug addict. I'm experiencing what millions of people experience. But that's some of the stuff I think for cops that holds us back is, we want to portray this broad spectrum of how tough we are and resilient we are. And man, we are all just human beings going through every day, trying the best we can. And really there's just, the world is dealing with such bad mental health right now. And I just wanted to be open about it in case other cops are going through it.
oh, and that's huge. So often we put on that the uniform and we feel we need to hide those emotions behind the uniform, almost like we're supposed to become on and everything, but it's not the case. We're still human beings, regular human beings, like we all interact with on a daily basis underneath that uniform.
Oh, you're so right, man. So speaking about health, mental health, physical health, what are some things that you're outlining for your 2022? I mean, what's your goals to, springboard and just keep growing and evolving as a person?
So as far as goals, man, I got a lot of professional goals that I'm working towards this year. I focused really on those because I truly believe that as my professional goals really start to come and fall into place, that all of those personal goals are gonna kind of follow in and get in line behind that as the professional goals start to come to fruition. And so my biggest professional goal this year is I want to bring in 50 new families into my practice and be able to serve those families and help make their lives better, as better as I can, and help them. And, as I started putting together some for this year and really, really thinking about that top goal, I started to look back and I started to get a little anxious because I realized that, the goals I had for myself last year, I didn't really hit my goals that I set for myself last year. And as I started to get a little anxious, a little upset, I just, some doubt started to take over. And I looked, instead of letting that take over, I took a deep breath. I said, all right, let me take a look at what caused me to not hit my goals from last year. And I realized that, the biggest thing was I had the goals, but I didn't have a solid process to make myself hit those goals. I realized that, right, I got to make a change. What can I do different this year so that I make sure that I hit my goals versus missing them last year? And what I realized is I started to focus more on input goals and building a process, a daily process, versus just having the goal and thinking I got to do this and got to do that. And, they were a little more generalized last year. I never dove down into as much of a process as I did this year. And I spent a lot of time, a couple of days, just writing out and building an entire process that I was going to follow on a daily basis to make sure that I was going to hit this goal that I set for myself. And one of the biggest things that I realized was, all right, I think too often we look at big picture And whether it's me with developing, a certain amount of clients in the year, you look at that, you're like, oh man, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make that happen? Or even it's on the flip side, when we're talking about mental police officers, all we can focus on is getting better. We want to get better, but we don't necessarily focus on, right, what do I need to do every day to make sure that I'm leading myself towards that main goal of getting better. And one thing I realized is, as I built my process, I said, all right, instead of focusing on big picture, focusing on next week, next month, next year, all I got to do is just focus my attention on today and the process for today, and just doing the input for today. And I've caught myself looking into next week and everything, but I'm able to catch myself because I've written it down and made myself aware of it. Right, reel that focus back to today, just focusing on today. The thing that having the process does is, since I have a process that removes any emotion that could come into play. And what I did is I wrote down a couple words, and I actually got these on a sticky note right on my computer. And they're words that I look at every time I start to have doubt. Every time I question what I'm doing, I look down at these 3 words. These 3 words are going to be what I'm going to live by this year: discipline, courage, and consistency. And I realized if I can follow those 3 in order, that everything I want to happen this year and beyond is going to happen.
Dude, I love that. Discipline, courage, and consistency. I mean, you have that on a post-it note always as a reminder to yourself. And I think we always have to put these processes around us. I love that, man. That is great. And the big one is that I think for police officers that we overlook is like discipline. Every cop knows what discipline is. Everybody cop knows what consistency is. Courage. I feel like courage is one where we don't really know. We treat courage and bravery like, oh, I'm running in the face of battle. But courage is the ability to get up every day, even when you're having a bad day or when you're doubting yourself, to keep grinding and fighting through it. To me, that's what courage is. So I love how you have that as one of your 3. I think that's great.
Finding a way through. And I know it's amazing. One thing, when I was a police officer, I used to shake my head and I'd be like, why am I fearing this insignificant thing over here? It could be, as simple as, why am I worried about what this person may or may not think of me, when on the flip side, there could be a guy with an AR-15 inside the bank, robbing the bank, and I'm not afraid to stand out there and wait for him and get in a gun battle with him.
Isn't that crazy though? Isn't that crazy? Think about that. Like, you get a call and you're running out there. You don't care about the danger, but then when you have like some inner turmoil stuff in your agency, it's like weighing on you more than somebody shooting at you. I mean, it's crazy how that works. Yeah.
So Chad, what are you looking at as you start to grow? You mentioned things that you've been battling and getting in order and everything. It's also, I'm glad to hear that you're getting focused on it. You're getting it on track. You're getting it under control, and it's a daily battle. So what are you looking forward to do to accomplish, whether it's personally or even professionally, as we go into this year?
Yeah, right. The mental health thing is, something I've always kind of battled with. I've had good moments, bad moments, always something I put on the forefront, but I never had the panic attacks and anxiety. And that was something I never really dealt with. I battle a little moderate depression from time to time, but with the panic attacks, anxiety, I'm really focused now on getting my medication right. I've never taken antidepressants, and I'm okay putting this out there because again, if we're not going to be honest, then what is the point of us helping other cops or the first responders? So I've never taken antidepressants, never taken anti-anxiety medication in my life, even with some of the PTSD I struggle with coming back from Iraq. But yeah, I started this now. I started it, and I'm learning how to find the right dosage that is, we're all different and our brain chemistry is all different. So really that's where I'm focusing at now is I'm on like day 10 of an antidepressant and trying to find the right balance to help my mood and stabilize me. And so that's kind of my short-term goal, what I'm trying to do right now. I don't know if you can hear my kids running and fighting upstairs, but I'm
surprised. I think mine came home. I think they're actually quiet.
Well, yeah, my boys are wrestling, but I wrote a couple of things down because I wanted to piggyback because you mentioned this, and I think this is so important. I'm glad you brought this up. Thinking things like, that's not enough. You know, we have goals, we have dreams, we have aspirations. I know every single one of us, because I'm like this. I think if I'm a big dreamer by nature, so I think about something. Well, thinking about it and letting this thought come in your head is not enough for anything to happen. It's not going to come true by just thinking it. And you touched on this earlier: systems and processes. You know, developing systems, developing processes that is going to let the thoughts that come in your head. Now you're putting structure down on pen to paper or some sort of process in place to make those thoughts not just be thoughts, but become actions. I think that is so important. And I think that you know, I appreciate the reminder you saying that, because I wrote that down because I need to do a better job at that. And one thing I learned when I was in the military, and I think it's important, but that you were just talking about this, is as far as goals. I was always taught, you know, from 17 years old, aim high, hit high. So you aim, and I think I mentioned this before, but you aim for the moon. And if you miss the moon, but you're so focused on aiming for the moon, you hit the stars. Some people would say, well, I didn't hit my goal. Well, you still hit the stars. I mean, that's pretty darn good. So I think that's good for in this pandemic era we're in now of, you know, especially on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you see everyone else posting all these great accomplishments they did. You know, your successes can be small and they can be incremental and still be monumental. They don't have to be small in your mind. But I think sometimes we compare ourselves to other people. But if you're aiming high, and, you know, rarely do you ever hit exactly where you want to go. But if you're hitting just a little lower, that's still pretty good. And you should enjoy that. And we should feel success in that. And I speak from experience, because I think part of my mental health stuff that I battle with sometimes, I'm such a perfectionist. I set such high expectations that if I don't hit my expectations, sometimes I get disappointed in myself. I'm a really tough critic on myself. My self-esteem takes a hit. But really, when I pull myself back, which I'm learning to do now, thank God, and is I pull myself back, I'm like, man, that was pretty incredible what I just did. And 4, 5, 10 years ago, I would have been disappointed in myself. Now I'm celebrating and say, that was a really cool thing I just did. So I think that's in this pandemic era we're in for going into 2022, is having a chance to turn a new leaf and really celebrating the small victories. Because every day we all have small victories, but we're so focused on the big things that we forget, hey, we just did something really cool, you know, small, but it's still a success.
Great about those small daily actions. You can celebrate completing the day and hitting your inputs for the day. So listen, man, this has been an awesome chat on goals and what we're looking forward to going into 2022. You got anything additional you want to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
Yeah. One thing I want to say, and I'm excited about this, is I got asked to speak, and I've been working on this training. Mental health training, resiliency training, positive psychology, crisis management, stress management training. I've been working on this for years, just putting things together, things I've learned from all over the place. Not only training that I've been to, but just my life experiences, kind of working on some keynote speeching type thing, and thematically tying things together. And I finally got asked invited by a police department to come out and speak on an 8-hour day. And I'm just really, really excited about it. I feel like, even though it's the first time I'm going to teach this particular material, I feel like it's a life. It's been coming my whole life. So I'm really excited about it. That's going to happen sometime in March. And I'm really excited to engage with active duty cops, active duty first responders, and let's talk about the scary stuff so that we can be positive and find ways to beat and overcome the scary stuff. So I just want to share that. I've been working on that, spending a lot of hours, lately, especially really crafting and putting it together. And I'm just excited to roll it out. So hopefully I have some more news about that later.
Congratulations, man. That's a huge win, man. I'm excited for that for you.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
That is great, man.
How about you? Any final parts?
I always like to finish with a book recommendation, Chad. And honestly, I didn't actually prepare one for the episode, but I'm going to come up with one off the top of my head here. I'm going to say, since we talked a little bit about the systems and processes, a big part of that is developing your daily habits. And there's a great book. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. That's a book that you read once and you got to read it again and you got to read it again. Phenomenal book. Great ideas, great topics that they touch on in there. It's going to help you put some habits in place that are going to bring you towards where you want to go.
Dude, that's a great recommendation, brother. I love it. Great show, great episode, great talk. I'm hoping this connects with people, resonates, because I know. And listen, if we're doing this show together and I'm getting something out of it, I'm hoping that other people are too, because it's good for me just to, I'm taking notes of things you talked about that I'm going to implement in my life. So appreciate it, brother.
Anytime, man. I love it.
I will see you next episode.
All right. See you guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining in.
See you, everybody. Take care.